Alrighty guys, so just sitting here having a drink and coffee, and I thought, watched that Make It Custom yesterday, where he swapped the chassis on that ramp truck that he's building with Brent. And I know it's they've done most of the work, well they've done a fair chunk of the work for a start off. There's a couple of things that concern me about that build. Now it's not really strength-wise, as in the chassis, because I was reading through a lot of comments and people were saying, "Why don't you use the original chassis?" Well, basically a semi-chassis. So you're talking massive diffs and stuff like that. Complete overkill for what he's trying to do. He's building a car hauler, basically. We're talking one car at a time, not freaking 10. That chassis, I think, was it 60s GMC or whatever it is? Fire truck. So really, you could pull a 40-foot trailer on the back of it with whatever, how many thousands of pounds of weight on the back. That's kind of what that chassis is designed for. Or obviously a fire truck with a lot of weight in the back with water and hoses and shit. That's what it was designed for. Way overkill for carting in say like 3 ton on the back, or I don't know, whatever that is in pounds. But the chassis he's using, which is that, 3.5 HD chassis, Chef chassis, whatever it is. So I did a little bit of research on that, and there was a couple of people commented. It's 15,000 pound chassis, which is 8 ton, or 8,000 kilos, depending on which part of the world you're in. I think that should be more than enough. A couple of people did suggest you should use the 5-ton chassis. Probably not wrong. It would just give you a wee bit more beef around the front to hold that cab up when it's over. But obviously they've got it working, so it must work. Haven't seen the videos of how they've done it, but it must work. It must hold it up. Because there was a couple of people who said, "Oh, if you flip that cat over, it's going to lift the back wheels off." And I don't think we'd do that. I think there's probably enough length in it. They lengthened it, and by the time you get the tilt train, it's going to have enough weight. But I don't know. I just don't know what that thing's going to weigh, and it's such a big cab, with being like a proper, 60s full truck semi cab type sort of thing. I'm a little bit worried about the power of it with having that 5.3 LS. I just don't know if it's going to be enough motor to push that thing along. It'll push it along, but I just think it'll be really working if you're hauling a car somewhere. For this project. Now, most of those cars that he's building playing with, the Caddy or the Zephyr might be probably the heaviest one if it's got a bit of shit in it. So the average car, like say that 66 Biscayne, that DD Speed Shop on it, I don't know, I'm guessing that would be 1,600 kilos, whatever that is in pounds, not sure. Somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 pounds, I guess. I'm not sure what the conversion is. But because I know I had a 66 Plymouth Fury, that was only about 1,600 kilos. It wasn't really that heavy. Really, like on the broad scheme of things, like my road car was about as heavy, even though it was that much fucking shorter. At the time, it was still about the same weight. I think it was slightly heavier, but it was still about the same weight. Like some of the smaller cars I've had, like I had I guess it would be an A-body Mopar. It was a 66 Valiant, which is a bit like those early Barracudas. That was, I think that's about 1,300, 1,400 kilos. So it's probably about that 3,000 pound weight. Some of the bigger cars, will be 2 ton or maybe a bit more. You could maybe put a bigger, I don't know, like a square body or something in the back of it. Maybe something one of those if it was full weight, with bigger diffs, maybe a four-wheel drive on that might be 2.5 tonne, whatever that works out to be. So I reckon it might be about 5 tonne built-ish, which would allow you about 3 tonnes to carry on the back, I'm guessing. So I don't think the chassis is too much of a problem. Like a little bit extra, like a 5 tonne chassis, I'm not sure what the rating on that was, but I'm saying it might be another couple of 3,000 pound, maybe another tonne-ish. You might have been able to carry, it might have been 9 tonne chassis instead of an 8 tonne chassis. I don't know exactly what the figures are on it. But yeah, I'm just thinking with that cab being so big and so square, I think that little 5.3 is going to struggle to push that thing through the air on a windy day. If you're punching into a headwind with a load on the back, almost at full weight, that 8 tonne up, thereabouts, I think she's going to be using some juice and it's going to be working hard to keep it at 60 miles an hour. It might go quicker, but I think it would be working really hard to get much quicker than that, if you know what I mean. I just don't think it's got enough power. Like you could boost it or put a cam in it or whatever, and I'm guessing that little 5.3, maybe 340-ish horsepower, 350, somewhere around about there. I don't think it'll be over 400. It could be, but I don't think it would be. But yeah, like I think a 12 valve Cummins wound up a little bit would be a better option. Like I don't know what a 12 valve's normal horsepower is. I wouldn't have a clue. I'm guessing probably some of the similar sort of horsepower. Would it be 300 horsepower? I don't know. But those people seem to be able to wind them up to 500, 600, 700 without doing a lot to them. Obviously bigger turbo or I think there's a few mods and injector pump sort of type thing without doing a massive amount of work. Not without changing head studs and O-ringing blocks and all sorts of other funny shit like that. I think that would be way more because it'd have better torque, more pull power or push power, just straight out and low grunt basically. Yeah, that would be my only concern with that build. I think it's going to be fucking cool build. I hope the old Alley's works for him. I just would hate to see him do all that work and then get out and start driving around and realise it just hasn't got enough power. And then having to refab a whole heap of stuff to put something in it with a bit more power, and then convert it to diesel or whatever. And, I just don't know if that LS is going to be enough. Maybe if it was a big one with a blower on it, but then you still, you would still be drinking because it's that big square front trying to push a brick through the air. And the other thing too, wheel-wise, because I changed a lot of truck tyres. So alloy wheels, he's talking 22.5s or whatever, or 24s. I don't know about the 24s. I haven't had much to do with them. They're not a common thing here. Back in the day, back in the 60s or 70s, like there was a few oddball trucks coming that were on some of those big wheels. But they weren't a common thing, if you know what I mean. Most of them were on the 20-inch old split rims, and then later on they come in the 22s. And 275 70s, 22.5s are very common here, or the old 295 80 or an 11R. It's a common size here, so you get some of the lower profile ones, or you get some of the normal sort of taller stuff that a lot of the American trucks coming on. But yeah, or he was talking of super singles, like those ones that Brent's got on are huge. I think they're like 425s or 445s or something like that. Big wide, I think the Michelins or whatever they are. They're huge. I've never seen them here. They make a 385 55 and a 385 65. So you'll get the lower profile, the taller profile. Something like that might be alright with the big offset wheel to get outwards, because they make just a normal like size wheel that you'd put like a 275 or a 295 on. They actually make a flat offset one instead of how most of the wheels have got the hump in the centre where you bolt on, and the front would normally be, the hump would be out, and then the jewels would normally the humps to go together, so it keeps the wheels apart. They do make a flat offset one for front, maybe something like that, because that would push the track without another couple of inches. And if you had to put in adapters on it, that would maybe give you another inch. That would probably be alright. Or you could go the super singles. That would probably creep you out about the sort of same, but you get a wider tyre. So yeah, there's a few options here, but I just don't know if that LS has got enough power to push that big bitch through the ear. That's the aerodynamics that I think is going to be the problem on that thing. Fucking cool build though. It's sick. It's going to look absolutely awesome. But yeah, just the power of the LS torque. I think probably if it was sort of 400 horsepower and 700 foot-pounds of torque, something like that. If it was like a big torquey diesel, that didn't have a lot of, had reasonable horsepower, but had a lot, almost double the torque. Then the thing's going to pull and keep pushing the thing through the ear. But I just don't know if that little LS is going to do the job. It might be right, but yeah, I think if you're cruising along, I don't know what the speed limit thing is like for heavy vehicles over there, because it would be borderline heavy vehicle. That would definitely be a heavy vehicle here, so you're limited to 90 kilometres an hour, but over there's a different thing. And I'm not sure about Canada's probably a little bit different to the States as well. But if you're trying to do any more than 60 miles an hour, I think that thing is going to be screaming, trying to push it forward. I think it would be it'll be working hard, be trying to change down gears all the time, I would think. I don't know, I could be wrong, but anyway, I'll catch you later on. That's just my thoughts on that.